Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stormworks video. In this video we're going to be covering the announcement as of today. Now this week's announcement, the devs are talking about the weapons DLC. Something that is highly talked about and a lot of players are very excited and can't wait to get their hands on. Now the first thing the devs are talking about this week is going to be the launch of the weapons DLC store page. This hasn't been released yet and they are currently working on it. They're going to be releasing it in the next couple of weeks. Now, if I was to guess here, I'd probably guess within about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even 4, pushing it. Could be completely wrong with these dates, as this is my guess. Now, with the Weapons DLC store page, they are also going to be announcing a release date. Now, going from trends and previous major updates, usually the devs announce a major update the week before it drops. So usually we get the major updates on a Wednesday, the devs will announce it the week before that. So, saying that, if we were to go on, let's say 3 weeks time when we get the store page, we should then get 1 week after that, the major weapons DLC. Once again, I could be wrong. Now the reason why I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks here is because the devs have also said that we are going to get some minor updates before we get the weapons DLC. Now the minor updates are meant to pave the way for the weapons DLC, meaning that these things are necessary before we get weapons. Now they do speak about a few of these things, and some of these things that they are planning to make changes to are the seats for one. That's going to make it easier for you to actually go and aim vehicle mounted weapons. Currently at the moment we only use WSAD up and down and then our numbers. Maybe they might introduce some support for mouse input when you're on a seat. I could be wrong, could be completely wrong. Can you imagine if you were sitting in a seat and you, let's say, clicked number 7 on your keyboard and that enabled your mouse input, and then you could actually target using your mouse? That would be pretty cool using a seat, and that's something I would hope to see. Along with that, they are also going to be making some changes to radars, so this will be another little bit of a minor update. So that's why I said 2 to 3 weeks, because I can maybe see this as being 2 separate little minors. Once again, I could be wrong here. This is just from my guess and going by other major updates. So yeah, changes to radars. So this will be able to now detect things at more of a distance. So radars, I think, can reach up to what, like 10,000 or 5,000, even more, I think, kilometers. But the problem is that if the creation hasn't loaded in, meaning it's not in your tile, the radar's not going to detect it. So they are working on something to fix that, because that's the main problem with radars at the moment. They'll be very useful, so you can actually detect things that aren't loaded in. What else? Analog radar signals, add-on settings. So add-on settings are going to be very important for how they are working with the new AI, which we'll talk about in a few seconds, and then several other things. Now, with this week's announcement, we also got a screenshot that is revealing some very, very important and very cool features. Now, the first thing we can see from the screenshot, and I'll throw it up on screen for you guys, is you can see the explosion. This is from a round actually hitting a vehicle, hitting the ground. You can firstly see the explosion and you can see the fire around it. Now let's focus ourselves on probably the most exciting piece, which is the gun itself. Now if you have a look at the gun, we can see there's a small little barrel here at the back there. And from it you can see there's a little bit of glare, and then we've also got the muzzle flash going all the way through, and then you can actually see the bullet or the round just about to hit the ground there. Now along with that, behind the gun, you can see we've got some shells that have been ejected. So this is really cool, and you can see the kind of, well, quite a small caliber around there that they seem to be shooting off here. So you can imagine some bigger calibers, which is pretty cool. Now next to it, I would imagine that would be a drum mag that connected to the gun. Obviously the devs did say that the guns in Stormworks were going to be a little bit of a modular system and you could build it however you want to. So it looks like they've got the gun and the barrel, and then right next to it they've got, of course, a big barrel or a big drum mag that's connected to it, which is housing the actual rounds in it. They've also looked like they've added a kind of rotate. Can you see how they've got like a little pivot on there? So that's how it actually goes and moves up and down and then left and right. So you presumably would have a pilot and a co-pilot, or a co-pilot would also be a gunner, and then they can go and target it around there. So let's just shoot back over to the next thing. They said that they are working on 1, weapon components, which we knew about, 2, some first person weapon items. I don't see this as being 20 machine guns that you can hold in your hands. I think it's going to be very limited, very specific first-person weapon items. And the last thing, which is the new game mode, which is going to be AI, Enemy Air Force, and Sea Force. Something really cool. Now, we've already spoken about this. We already knew that there was going to be hostile AI forces, but they have said now this is going to be a full game mode, which is quite interesting. So I would like to see how this is going to be introduced in how you can play this game mode. I'm guessing it's just going to be when you create a new game, you can select this game mode instead of creative or let's say classic career or regular career. You have a new game mode called, let's say, season control. I don't know. I'm taking a complete guess here at what this will be. But yeah, this will be a new game mode that you can go and choose. What else do we have this week? The last thing that we're going to talk about is the devs said they are going to start doing some live streams of Stormworks where they'll be hosting it and they'll be playing Stormworks and they'll hopefully be answering your questions completely live, unscripted, nothing like that. So kind of like what we're doing at the moment with our Q&A videos, whereas obviously those are just myself and the developers, whereas now you'll be able to interact directly with the developers in a live stream and you'll get your answers answered straight away, which is pretty cool to see that they are doing that. And that's pretty much about it for this week's little bit of announcement. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys probably were hoping that this week we would have gotten the Weapons DLC or next week, but I think there is, as I said, at least another 2 or 3 weeks before we get the next Weapons DLC, or the Weapons DLC here in Stormworks, and the next major update. So guys, that's it for this week's announcement. I hope you have enjoyed my video and also enjoyed the content that the devs have announced for us today. If you have, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you don't want to miss any of my future content, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And until next one, we will see you then.